All right, hi guys. All right, I'm gonna put this away. All right, so today is Wednesday, the 24th, and today we had our math test. And before we did our test, we did some review, and we did the module 13. We went over that. So let me pull that up here. All right, so in module 13, we went over, and it is sunny as can be. Let me see if I can, let me go shut this curtain real quick. All right, see if that helps a little bit. All right, so we went over this here. So we said a line segment is a part of a line between two endpoints. A right angle forms a square corner. An obtuse angle is greater than a right angle but less than a straight angle. A ray is a two-dimensional figure that has one endpoint, and then a straight angle is an angle that forms a line. Down here, still not the best. There it goes. All right, down here, we are using these lines here. So we have AGB, CGD, and EBF. And so we named a ray, an acute angle, a point, a line segment, perpendicular lines, and then an obtuse angle. So when you look at these, when you find a ray, you're looking for an endpoint and then it continuing on in one direction. A acute angle, you're looking for, you can take a book, like the corner of your book, and you can place it in there, and you can see if the second ray is hiding behind your square corner, then your angle is going to be acute. So, for example, if I take this here, and I'm looking at CGB. If I take a corner right here and line it up to that bottom part, I can't see the top ray. So if that's hiding, then that means that's acute. If it were sticking out, it would be obtuse, and if it was lined up perfectly, then it would be a right angle. So a point, all of these are points. You could have named any letter. Line segment is just a segment of a line. So from G to B, that's a line segment. Perpendicular lines, we see the box right there shows that's a 90-degree angle. And then obtuse, like we said before, if it's sticking outward, so CGA, see how this line is tilted back a little bit? It's not straight. That's an obtuse. And then here we went and found the angles on the bottom and classified those. If you see an obtuse angle, you know you have an obtuse triangle. If you see a right angle, you know you have a right triangle. If all are acute, then you know you have an acute triangle. Then we did the second page on the back, and we talked about symmetry. So we can draw lines of symmetry. We can draw vertical lines, horizontal lines, or diagonal. So here we tried a vertical line and we said no. If we cut this in half, the left side, if we folded it over to the right, that wouldn't match up. We said diagonal wouldn't match up either. And so if we drew a horizontal line across, we could fold the top part down and everything would match up. So we said it had one line of symmetry. And then here it says which figure has two pairs of sides that appear to be parallel. And so we went and we said, okay, this one has two, this one has one, this one has one, this one has one. So the only one that had two was A. And then here we drew a rhombus, or we drew, first we looked at the attributes. So it said two pairs of parallel sides. So we took out trapezoid because the trapezoid only has one. And then we said all sides are equal. So we took out rectangle because a rectangle doesn't have all the sides. We were left with square and rhombus. and then has no right angles. We took out square because a square has all right angles. So that was a rhombus, and then we drew it here to show. This one is a line because we see the arrows on the side, which show that it goes in both ways, continuous forever and ever. And so line FE. All right, so once we did that in our book, and that was on, I just got out of it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. That was on page 485 and 486. Oh, right there. Okay, so after we did that, we did our test, and I put the test in Seesaw this time first for everybody to do because I wanted everybody to use the tools. You don't have as many options in Aware. They have highlighting and things like that where you can highlight the words, but I wanted you to actually mark up your test. So there's 10 questions. So number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and so on. And then there's some things on the side here for some bonus points. So every box that you do that is correct, that's an extra point that you can earn to add to your score. And then I just want you to do the box first before you go and solve the question because like this is asking about perpendicular. So I want you to think about what does it mean to be perpendicular. So do that first and then go into Aware and please enter your answer. So we'll have the data there. And then once you do both of those, I will send you your questions if by chance you missed any. Hopefully you don't, but if you did, I will send that and you'll have the chance to make corrections and go over anything that you might have missed. And then where is my, there it is. Okay. Then here in reading, we went over narrative nonfiction. So we just reviewed what it means. And so narrative nonfiction, the purpose of it is to inform and to entertain. And it describes a true event or series of events. And there's some things that are found also in fiction that we'll find here, such as setting, figurative language, plot elements, and then there's different types. So at the beginning of the week, we've been reading, or we read, the autobiography of Buzz Aldrin, and then now we are reading a diary. And if you go back to the agenda, we're doing it for the next 3 days. So today we read the first passage. Tomorrow we'll read the second passage, and then we the third one we'll go over. When they're paired like this, you're comparing and contrasting. So you read the first, you read the second, and then you think about, okay, what kind of things do these passages have in common? How are they alike? How are they different? And so we'll go over that on Friday. And then that is in Seesaw. So if you go to your activities and go down to reading Wednesday through Friday right here, week 25. And this was the first. So we read here and we stopped on page 2 right here. And then we'll start reading Celebrating Freedom tomorrow. So make sure you've read this first one. And we added some notes on the side to show just kind of a, stop and jot and write down because especially since we've got 2, we want to help us remember what it was that we read. So just some notes about what was going on, some things that stood out. And as we are reading, I really want you to stop and have time to process what you read. So like this first part here, everybody was just ready to keep going and read the second paragraph. And a lot of people almost everybody in the class didn't realize, okay, when he's talking about he's going to a celebration in Freedom Park, that's talking about right now. And then he does this flashback to when he was younger, and it's talking about, it's hard to believe he's been a free man for 60 years. So when he thinks back to this some fine day, that's going back when he was a young boy. So just really stopping and thinking about, okay, what exactly did I just read? What's going on in the story? And then Murphy's making, I don't know if y'all can hear him, Murphy's making little noises over here. So look, just stopping and thinking, and just when you have things like when the character, when it says his face looked like a storm cloud, when it says, when he asks, "You all right, son?" Just stopping and thinking, okay, why did that happen? What's going on with my characters? Why would his face look like a storm cloud? Just really stopping and thinking about what's going on in your story will help you better understand it. All right, then there's a Flipgrid response, and then I met with Group A. All this week we're doing spelling inventory, so Group A is today, Group B tomorrow, and C. And then for writing, we went back to Seesaw, and we went down to writing, and we did Wednesday. So you should have Monday, Tuesday done, going to Wednesday. So in Wednesday, this first part here was using the fanboy and, or, and but. So when you use the word and, you're saying like this one, Pablo will erase the board and Eric will clean the erasers. So and both the thing on the left that came before and the thing that comes after, you're doing both of these things. Pablo's going to erase the board and Eric's going to clean. It's not like a either or type of thing. They're both doing those things. When you use the word but, you've got a contradiction. So it says he will do it, but he doesn't want to. And then when you have a choice, so we will bake chicken or we will cook fish, we're not sure. You're not doing both, you're not cooking both of these things, you're going to pick one. So either you're going to bake the chicken or you're going to cook the fish, not both. These are the, we're comparing using superlatives, and you really need to read these out loud. When you say out loud and you hear yourself, my report is longest than your report, you hear that doesn't sound correct. So then you try the other one. My report is longer than your report. Okay, that sounds better. So read it out loud, hear how it sounds, and if it fits, great. If not, take it out. All right, here on C, we're inserting commas. So George, comma, don't touch the hot potatoes. And then here we're grouping these names together. So Julia and Bill, comma, you need to come inside right now. So we're pausing after we say that name. It's called an interjection. And we're pausing after we say the person's name. In D, we're taking out things that don't belong. So you don't need the name plus the pronoun. So you don't say Morgan, she thinks. You either say she thinks or you say Morgan thinks. So we're taking out some of these things that are being repetitive. Here we used over and under. So this is using the correct prefix. So don't overdo it. Sarah is an overachiever. I think you overreacted. And then Roland undercooked the burger. So making sure you have the right prefix there. And then this one, you've got a vowel, consonant, vowel. So the I says its name and the E is silent. So this says quite, and this says quiet. So the room went quiet. I am quite shocked. It's actually quite easy, and you need to remain quiet. All right, we'll do Thursday tomorrow, and then going down, we've been working on this prompt here. It says, write about your school and explain why it is important to you. So we brainstormed some ideas, and we've been working on page 5. So far we should have the introduction, and today you should have finished the body. One big thing that we're really trying to, that kind of came up a lot this week, is we all of a sudden started creating all of these lists. So when I'm writing this out, let's say I'm doing my first reason. Excuse me. So let's say a reason why my school is important to me. So my school is important to me because I have a lot of fun. Okay, so that's my reason. Some of the ways I have fun are using Flipgrid, coding, and having fun Fridays. All right, so this is what we're doing. We're creating lists. We're saying, oh, we do this, we do this, we do this, we do this, we do this. Well, it doesn't really give the reader much information. The reader they may not know what Flipgrid is, or they may not know about coding or what you mean by Fun Friday. So instead of creating lists, what I would like you to do is say what your reason is, and then pick just one and explain. So my school is important to me because I have a lot of fun. One of my All right, so my school is important to me because I have a lot of fun. One of my favorite things we do, it is coding. We use a program called Scratch. I really like picking out the different blocks and sprites to make the objects talk and move. So now, instead of listing, you've explained what it is that you're talking about. So now, instead of just this long list that the reader can't really connect to, now you've given them something where they're like, okay, now I've learned a little bit more about what you're talking about. So giving them those details to where they're going to understand what you mean is really what you need to do, because otherwise they're just you're just going to be another. We talked about the importance of having your paper stand out. So it's just, if you don't really go into detail and you don't really explain and your reader doesn't connect, it's just going to be another paper that they read, and they're not going to really, there's nothing going to be very memorable about it. It's not going to stand out. It's just but if you really get in there and you really explain what you're talking about, your paper is going to be a lot more memorable, and your reader's just going to connect so much more, and it's going to be so much more enjoyable to read. Okay, so move away from the list. Less is more. You don't need to tell the reader every single thing. You just need to pick something and then describe it. And then go to your second reason and say another reason school's important to you. And then pick something where you can either explain or give an example, and just fully explain and do that. Okay. So no, I'm not saying you can't ever have a list. It's just your reader is not going to, if you think, okay, if I've never used Flipgrid, and I read the word Flipgrid, I'm going to be like, what is that? And so just really thinking about, okay, what questions might my reader have after they've read my paper, and how can I make it more clear for them to understand what I mean? Okay, so today you needed to have your introduction completed and your body. You need 2 to 3 reasons, so at least 2 of these boxes need to be completed. Then once you're done, draft that. Then we'll move into conclusion tomorrow. Then for science, I gotta log into it. So science, you need your science notebook. And I need to go to STEM Scopes. All right, so we watched this video on classifying matter. So I'm gonna play it through, and then I'm going to describe what we did. So you're going to need to reference it back. So you'll have to rewind to where this starts and kind of go back and forth with it.
Today sure is a slow day.
I know. I wish we had a question to investigate. Hey, why is your ball bouncing higher than my ball? Are you throwing it harder or something?
I don't know, but it sounds like the answer to our boredom problem. We need to investigate this further, don't you think? Okay, let's make this interesting. Let's gather as many different types of balls as we can to test their bounce. That is, the height of each ball's bounce.
Sounds good, but if we're going to investigate, shouldn't we collect more data than just the height of the bounce? I think we need to look at the physical properties of the different balls we choose. That way, we will know why each ball is bouncing the way it does.
Great idea. Let's look at each one's mass, magnetism, state of matter, relative density, and ability to conduct electricity.
Sounds good. Let's start finding different balls. What measurement tools might be needed to test the physical properties of the different balls?
I'm filling one balloon up with water and another balloon up with air. Devon won't know what hit him.
We've gathered all our supplies. Now we're ready to explore.
We have a triple beam balance, a pan balance, circuit materials, magnets, and an aquarium of water. I'm going to record our data on this chart. Okay, Devon, why don't you test to see if each ball is magnetic, and I'll take the mass of each ball.
Okay, cool. Is that a water balloon?
Maybe.
That ball's a liquid. I'll add that to the states of matter column. Here are the rest of the states of matter. This is a surprise. The full ball is not magnetic. These are the results of the other magnetism tests.
And here's what I found for the mass of each ball.
Now I'm going to test whether each ball insulates or conducts electric energy. We will place each ball in the path of the circuit. If the light bulb still lights up, that ball will be a conductor. If it doesn't, then it's an insulator.
It looks like this ping pong ball is an insulator.
And it looks like the foil is a conductor.
And here are the rest of the results of the ability to conduct electricity tests. And now it's time for my favorite test. Devon, do you want to help me test for relative density?
Sure.
My hypothesis is that the soccer ball will sink because it's the heavier of the two. Let's test it. I can't believe it.
I know. Just because something is bigger and heavier doesn't mean it'll sink.
Let's add that to the chart. So these are the ones that sank, and these are the ones that floated.
Let's add that to the chart, too. I set up this meter stick outside to see how high each ball would bounce.
Let's test it. It's time to test this last one.
I knew you had something planned.
I'm going to go catch Devon. See you next time.
All right, so what we did was we went ahead and took some notes, and we we paused after each one and talked about it. So, like with the mass, we talked about number one, how we use a triple beam balance to find it, and I'll show that in a second. Then we talked about, we noticed that the water balloon had the most mass. The air balloon had the least amount because it only had half of a gram. And then some of these things are, pretty close, like the golf ball and the tennis ball are pretty close. The ping pong and the foil ball, they had the same. And then for the mass, they used the triple beam balance to find mass. And mass we measure in grams. So when you see this G here, that means grams. And so this is a really small unit here. Then for magnetism, they had to use the magnets. So when they used the magnets and they put it up against the object, um, the only one that showed that is the ball bearing. So we were talking about, a lot of these are made out of plastic or foam or different, like the balloon, the liquid and things like that. Not the liquid, but the like the plastic, things like that are not going to be attracted to a magnet. Then the state of matter, we had examples of solid, liquids, and gas. The rest of these were solids. And then for the density, um, we used the aquarium. So they filled the aquarium with water. And if they floated, so F for float, if they floated, then that means that it was less dense than the water. If it was sinking to the bottom, like the ball bearing and the golf ball, if it was sinking, then that means it was more dense than the water. Then here, the ability to conduct electricity. So if you think back to our circuit lab where we made the same that they were showing, where we had the battery and the wires and the light. And so when you connect those, you're checking to see for the ability to conduct electricity. So the only ones that were able to do that were the ball bearing and the foil ball. And so we know that those are conductors because when we connect those, they make the light turn on, versus these other things like the plastic and the foam and things like that. Those we know are insulators, and those will not turn on the light bulb. So those don't have the ability to conduct electricity. And so we took notes on this, and the notes need to be uploaded into Seesaw. So if you go back to here, there's an activity. It says physical properties. You click add response, find your name, and it brings up this. You can add a drawing, and you just take a photo, use the camera, and upload a copy of your notes and hit the green check. And that'll do that. I have quite a few who have not done that yet, so make sure you get that in. And then all right, and then for social studies today, we did Wednesday's article and questions. And so that is in your social studies here on Google Classroom. So if you go down to Wednesday, you had who was the Texan leader that ordered the evacuation to the Colorado River? And then what did the runaway scrape prove about the Texans? And so you can click the article here and read and listen to that, and then fill in your two responses there. And then for the remaining of the time during our intervention time, we've been working on writing. So we had extra time at the end of the day to share and have some feedback on our writing. And then the other ones that did not finish their math test had some extra time during that to get caught up and finish their math. So we had music today, so make sure you got your music assignment done. And tomorrow, if you're looking at the schedule, we have our writing benchmark. So my students that do the accelerated math, you will stay with me and do asynchronous math tomorrow, and then you guys will do your. We're going to start right at 8. So everybody, make sure your 7:45 is the tardy bell. So you need to be. Everybody should be here and ready to go by 7:45, because I'm going to go over directions, and we're gonna be starting right at 8 o'clock. So make sure you're on time and not crawling out of bed right at 8 o'clock. Make sure you are ready to go. Okay. So I think that is it. And all of this tomorrow. So we'll do the benchmark. All of this will just be, ignore the times. All of this will just kind of be pushed down. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.